Do we have a dispute here and there? Are they getting handled like two grown adults without us even having to get involved? I think that a lot of the reason that some of these new sellers are like, well, I'm just not going to guarantee structural, and I'm not going to guarantee paint work, and I'm not going to guarantee this and that. It's because they don't want to be hung out to dry like they've seen happen on other platforms.
So, being 2.5 months into DealerClub now, we've seen a lot of really, really good CRs. And to be honest with you, Joe, I didn't expect them to be that good. I mean, I think it's a testament to the product, the app itself, but also just the knowledge car dealers, have gained or instinctively have.
They have it. Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, they've done an awesome job with really no training or anything, whatsoever, which we will be working on, by the way. But right now, they've just kind of been a little bit of a beta early on, and they've done a great job, really leaning into these CRs. But there have been a few that get little to no bids. And when we look at the CR, and they might even be priced right, but when we look at the CR, we go, this is why. And I think that you have some good knowledge here to.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, it's hard to tell if the car is priced right if a seller is not really saying much of anything about the car. And so, especially in an online world, but you gotta give the buyers something to sink their teeth into. And when we see some of these CRs and the word is probably vague, it's just like, they're not describing anything about the car. They're not guaranteeing anything about the car. You're not going to get any bitter response from that. So there's honestly been some, some kind of like complaints from some of these sellers that I've gotten. Is, I got no bids on my car, or it only got bid to $500. And I go, okay, let me see what's going on. And I go look at the condition report, and it's like, well, you didn't tell anybody anything about the car. How do you expect them to go, well, it's online, I don't want to stand behind it, I don't want to, and I get it, but that's kind of taking in what I would call like an old world approach to a new world solution, right? This is a reputation based platform. So I like to think about DealerClub as like the blending of how transactions used to get done, much more like a face-to-face, but with national scale and the real ability to like stamp and print what reputation means and looks like, and really showcase how good is this seller, how bad is this seller, right? Fortunately, we don't have a lot of bad sellers by any means, but they're gonna weed themselves right out. But if Joe and I were car dealers in our past life, and he was a used car manager, and sometimes he would call me on some trades, and we had history, like that's the nuance of what we're trying to capture. So if you imagine what that dialogue looked like, whether it was over the phone or whether it was in text, Joe would guarantee me in some loose terms that the engine and drivetrain are great, and the air blows cold, and there's no rust on the body. It does need 4 tires. The brakes pulsate.
Or at least like, if I didn't know something about the car, let's say like, hey, I can't guarantee if this thing's been painted, but it looks good, but to the eye, I don't think I'll have any problem selling it.
Right.
Or like, this part of the car, there's some, some dirt in the paint, whatever it may be.
Yep.
I would be honest, but if I don't know, I would provide context to you as to why. So I think the real takeaway here is, if you want the most for your car, and you're not going to guarantee a certain portion of the car, there has to be context as to why. Because without the context, I really am walking in blind, regardless of your reputation. I mean, you will.
That might help, but still, I agree with you. Yeah, and it's too easy. Look, I mean, it's just like at the physical auction. If I saw a car and there was something about it I didn't like, and it might even be the seller was what I didn't like about it, I just turn the other direction and go look at other cars.
Yeah.
DealerClub's no different. Any other online auction is no different, right? If you give me a reason to walk away because I feel insecure when I'm looking at it, I feel skeptical, I feel nervous, I'm just going to do an about face and
well, here's the thing.
Look the other way.
We've all, been there, whether it's at the auction or going back to just human nature from a different video. But, people look for reasons to buy things they want, And then they also look for reasons not to buy things that they think they maybe shouldn't buy. So it comes down to the same thing. Like if I'm kind of on this car, but like I kind of want someone to like talk me out of it. And then I go, I can hang my hat on, yeah, you know what? He didn't guarantee X, Y, or Z, or I don't know enough about this to be confident in making my decision. So I'm just going to pass.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I truly believe is, in that wholesale, like you kind of sell me on why the car's good. If I really want the car, like I'll pay a little bit more. Or if I'm a little apprehensive, I'm going to try and find ways to maybe like justify not stepping up on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of this too is we're a new platform. We require that the seller be engaged in selling. This is sort of new for the online world. It's the way everything used to work, right? But we're just trying to pull that historical approach into kind of more modern times here. And I think there's a lot of sellers that have seen how some of this stuff has played out with online auctions, and they're nervous about being on the receiving end of a pain in the butt buyer who's going to call them and torture them and, demand that they pay $1 million to fix an issue. At a point that I really want to drive home is DealerClub is really different in this sense. Do we have a dispute here and there? Yeah, they happen. They're used cars. Stuff gets missed. Are they getting handled like two grown adults without us even having to get involved? It's a fascinating paradigm shift because these folks know who they're dealing with, the way that our site presents the people behind the cars, and they're looking at the future business that they want to do together, and they're being very fair. So I think that a lot of the reason that some of these new sellers are like, well, I'm just not going to guarantee structural, and I'm not going to guarantee paint work, and I'm not going to guarantee this and that, it's because they don't want to be hung out to dry like they've seen happen on other platforms. But a lot of that stuff was just abuse. And like the obsession about paint work is such a money grab in our industry. And it's so unfortunate because unless we're talking about a really high-end car, paintwork really doesn't matter if it's high quality. And if you're not hiding something like, inch-thick Bondo, it's not a big deal. It doesn't actually change the value of the car in any material way. Let's move on. These are used cars. Let's move forward. Oh, I missed that the door was painted. Is it acceptable? Like,
Yeah.
this is gonna blow up your opportunity to ever get off this car? I don't think so. But I think that's the sort of stuff that new dealers to our world are going to have to figure out kind of over time. What we're trying to do with this piece of content, with this video, is just to sort of fast track that. Trust in our process. It does work. Trust that our buyers, even if they're some of the same people that are torturing you on other sites, I promise you that they're behaving differently here. They're chameleons, right? And our environment elicits just a better human interaction between these people. They want to collectively do good business together, and it's really refreshing to see.
Yeah. So, I mean, when it comes back to creating a CR, we are coming up with some different ways to kind of, help sellers along on different, tips and tricks and so on. But you can always reach out to us. You can give us a call. You can reach out to help@dealerclub.com. We're more than willing to provide any insight, answer any questions, even if it's a technical issue you have, with writing a car. We're here to help. You can reach, myself, our team. And, heck, Joe's fielded a bunch of phone calls,
Happy to.
how to do it. And we just want to see, the dealers on the platform have success. So we really think this is the way to do it.
That's right. And I think that if you were to try and draw like a line in the sand, is this car that's in front of me that I'm thinking about putting on DealerClub, is it something that I can list and fully disclose to the best of my ability with my reputation, involved in that car? And if not, there's other places to go and sell that car, red light, however you want to represent it, however an auction rep wants to represent it. But just be thoughtful. That's really like to me, that's the gate to walk through if you're going to list a car on DealerClub. Can I represent it with my reputation on the line?
And I just want to add one thing to that too, which would be, if I am representing your car, how would I want it represented to me?
Beautiful.
If I were on the other end of the computer. that's going to build the confidence. If that's what you would want to know, that's exactly, how much information you would want on the car, then put that much information in the CR and, the results will come. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.